Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am going to be taking you through all of the functions, hotkeys, features, and little details in the Lord of the Rings DragnCards plugin, which I did not cover in the basic how to play video. Here I am in the middle of a game. Let's go through the different menus and features, and at some points I may need to load some other decks in to demonstrate everything. But let's start with this first menu. So we have loading pre-built decks. That brings you up to this menu with all of the quests in the game. We've also got campaign cards you can load in if you're playing a campaign. So let's say I was doing the core set campaign here. I could load them all in, and here in the set aside panel, we've got all the cards from that campaign. And you can swap through these different side panels by clicking these different buttons. We've got the set aside. We've got our sideboard. I don't have a sideboard for this deck, but if you did, in RingsDB, if you had a sideboard, those cards would show up here. We have the victory display right now is empty, and the quest deck, which has one quest remaining in it. And you can turn off that panel completely if you want a little more space. Okay, we've also got load public custom decks. So I just made this plugin and published it a couple hours ago, so there's no public decks here. But in that menu, probably when you load it, it will be populated with decks that other people have made and made public, and you can play with their decks directly from here. Of course, you can always use their decks on RingsDB, but in this case, they may have actually used DragnCards' custom content feature to upload custom cards to the game, and you can play with their custom quests or custom player cards through that menu. We also have load via URL. That gets you RingsDB decks. You can also upload a game or replay that you've saved in the past through the download feature. So if you go here, you can download your current game state to your physical computer or device and upload it later. But you might not have to use this feature much because the game itself will save to your profile. Every time there's a new round, it auto saves, but if you hit Control S, you can force a save. And here in your profile, you can see, I've got this saved game right here. And you can load it. You can create a room, and it'll be back there as it was when you saved it. Okay. We've covered that. Unload. You can unload either the encounter deck or your deck. This isn't something you do much in the middle of a game, but for example, I can just get rid of all the encounter cards. I can also bring them back by pressing undo, which is the left arrow key, or Control Z, either works. And that will bring you back one step. So as you can see here, actually, the log tracks all the different steps of the game so far from the very beginning, from when you set the layout for one player. So because I pressed undo, I'm actually right here at the second last step. You can click around. You can click, let's go back here. It'll bring you back to that point in the game. You can also flip through using these arrow keys if you want. Just know that if you do rewind the game to some previous point, as soon as you do an action, so if I do here, let's say I I'm at step 45. If I draw a card, it will wipe out all the stuff after that. So you'll lose anything that came after that point. So just be aware as you're going through to bring yourself back to current before you take another action. Otherwise, you'll lose that part of your game. Okay. We can change the number of players at any point. Again, not something you're really going to need middle of the game, but here we've set it to 3 players. There's other seats that you can sit in. And yeah, they've got their own zones here. Let's undo that. You can also spawn a card. If you click that, it'll come up with this thing where you can spawn any card that's in the plugin. So let's bring in Aragorn. From the Watcher in the Water set, and you can choose where it goes. I'm going to put it in my play area. I click on that, and I spawn in Aragorn. There he is. Let's undo and get rid of him. Okay. Spawning card. You can randomly flip a coin here. I flip heads, tails. You can randomly choose a number between 1 and any number. And that's that. You don't really need to know about developer tools. Plugin options. You can set things like the number of cards you drop around. You can change the mode of the quest to like Battle Quest or Siege Quest. Battle Quest is where you quest with attack. Siege Quest is where you quest with defense. So right now you see A1's questing for 4 because it's a willpower quest. If I go here, it's like Battle Quest. Now when she commits to a quest, she'll only commit 1 because she's only got 1 attack. So you can adjust that there. Download, I covered already. Clear table. This is how you can reset the game, and you can mark it as a victory defeat. You can also close the room entirely in the same way. All right, so we covered that menu. The view menu, we can look at hotkeys. We can view our preferences. And in here, you can also change the questing stat that you're using. So let's set it back to willpower. You can also adjust the default value that it starts each game at. And let's update. Okay, that's preferences. In here, you have quick access to basically any group of cards that's part of the game. So not everything is displayed on the table. For example, you can't see right now the quest deck. You can just see the main quest. So we can view shared quest deck. That'll pop up a little display where it shows that to you. And you can filter it by hitting these buttons. You can then close it, and when you close it, you can either shuffle it, you can keep the current order, or you can keep peeking at it. And what all that means is, let's say I look at this, I want to look at the encounter deck. Well, let's say I press the I, so I can see all the cards. I'm peeking at all of them now. If I click keep peeking, it just means that I'm still seeing everything that comes up. What you're going to want to do is, when you look at the encounter deck, you're normally going to want to close and shuffle it so they're all face down. Okay, that covers those menus. In certain quests, like you might want to look at the second encounter deck, for example. That'll be here with the third encounter deck. Got some other regions here. But yeah, okay, so that's that. We've got some other menus to look at here. Well, let's finish up with these three. Builder menu. We can build custom decks. just click on the plus icon. This opens up the deck builder that's internal to DragnCards. I'll be honest, it's not as good as the RingsDB deck builder, so I recommend just using the RingsDB deck builder. However, if you want to play with people's custom cards, you will have to use this, because if they're not on RingsDB, this is where you would add them to your deck. You can build a deck here. You can click on public, which will display everyone's public cards that they've uploaded to this plugin, and you build your deck that way. So right now, if I filter by card, yeah, you can select. So I want to select my heroes. I would choose my play area. That's where they start. So I choose a few heroes like that, and then let's say hero, and then my deck. Fill my deck with cards and so on. You get the idea. I would call it something and then save it. And to play with it, you just click play. That would load it onto the board state. You can also download it as a file if you want to share it, and someone else can upload it. Or you can just make it public. My deck is now public, and you can also delete it. So since my deck is public, I should actually be able to see it here in menu load public custom decks. Yep, there, that's my deck. So someone could click on that and play with my deck now. We also have the custom content. There's a lot to explain here, so I'm actually going to have a whole separate video about that. If you want to learn how to upload your own custom cards, check out that video. Okay, we've got fairly self-explanatory dials here: round, threat, progress. We've got my seat here. Now, let me switch to number of players 2. You see this is an empty seat. Actually, I'm going to let me restart. Let me restart here. And let me clear the. Oh no, let me close the room. Let me start a new game. I want to start as a two-handed. Okay, so I'm gonna load a player deck here. You can see my hand and deck are here. Now this is an empty seat. You can just click sit here, and now you're sitting as player 2. So when you load a deck, those cards will go over here in the second player spot. You can see both hands at once. So this is a very handy way to play two-handed if you like that game mode. A lot of people do. And yeah, it allows you to just play with both hands at once. Very convenient. I had to condense this bottom row a little bit so you can't see your discard pile in the native layout. But you can swap this little region out here where it says deck for your discard by clicking the DI, or even your second player deck if you are using, there's some scenarios where you need to see your second player deck. Same with player 2. Okay, so that covers that. So yeah, it's very simple to sit. Now, when you're in two-player mode, you don't often have to switch seats because you can control everything with the second player, but there are certain hotkeys that you press that assume that you're performing them as that player. So, for example, the D key, I believe, will draw a card for this player, and if you have to go to sit here to draw as that player. Now there is a hotkey if you are playing two-handed. The Shift D key here, draw a card on behalf of the next empty seat. So if I'm sitting here and I do Shift D, it will draw a card for that player. And if I'm sitting here, it'll draw a card for that player. So really, you can probably spend most of your time in this seat drawing with D when you need to draw this player and Shift D when you need to draw that player. Okay. Yep. So moving on, I think I covered how to look at the encounter deck with that menu. We've also got some other things here. So let me, no, I want to undo that. I want to load a scenario. Let's do passage through Mirkwood. And there we go. Okay, so you can then, open up the menu for the deck here. There's a few interesting options. One of them is discard until enemy. This happens a lot in quests. You have to discard until an enemy. If I click on that, you'll see now it's put 3 cards in the discard pile and put the next enemy in the staging area. So that's just a convenient way to avoid a lot of dragging. Same with location. Shuffle into deck is basically you can shuffle it, so you shuffle it into itself. You can also look at the top 5 cards. You can set the visibility for people to look at it. You can also move it away, like maybe the scenario has you moving encounter decks around. So let's say I want to get this out of the way. I can move it to encounter deck. That chew. Now it's gone. It's in encounter deck 2, which I can view here. Shared encounter deck 2. You see it's got 30 cards in it. So that's where it went. When you use this menu here, view, it'll default to showing you the group face down, so you can be safe using that. You won't see any spoiled cards. You can always peek here, like look at all the cards. So let me put them back in the encounter deck here. Yeah. So that's a bit different between the eye icon. So the eye icon automatically shows you all the cards, but going through the view menu or clicking here and clicking browse, that'll bring them up face down in case that's relevant. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah. So there's the round advancement, which I covered a bit. One feature that I didn't cover in the basic video was, let's say you're advancing through the round and you got through here, it got advanced to the next planning phase. Yeah, so if you want to like do planning action, refresh actions here, you can just click on that and it'll bring you there. Okay. One thing I forgot about is this reminder. So since I skipped the encounter phase by doing that, it just brought up a reminder saying there is at least one enemy in the staging area that has lower engagement cost than the player's threat. So we forgot to do that. It's just trying to help you avoid mistakes in your game. It's not going to force you to engage them, but it is a handy reminder so that you don't accidentally leave something up there that you meant that you should have engaged. So yeah, you can click that and then you can perform your refresh actions, and then this button will still be there. Press W to advance to the next planning phase. Okay, any other hotkeys we need to discuss? Shuffle into deck. Yeah, that's a handy hotkey. So if you want to, like maybe you've got Bayorn that you've used, you want to like shuffle them into your deck, you press the H key. That'll put it into your deck and shuffle your deck for you. To shuffle your own deck, you can click here and click shuffle. But you can also just press the same key, H, because that'll essentially shuffle the top card into its deck and that's really the same as shuffling the deck. So yeah, H key will shuffle a deck. Okay. Yes, rearranging attachments. Yeah, so if you got like multiple attachments on a character, well, I don't know. Let's say this is an attachment. You can press B. That'll move it to the back. All right. We've got this lightning bolt icon, or Shift A. This means the card has an automation function defined for it. So you can just go over it and you can either click it and it will perform the action that was coded for it. In this case, it exhausts and gives 2 resources to the attached hero. Shift A also just does that instantly. Okay, so you'll see that appear on a number of cards. Now, I think I wanted to go over some of the different scenarios that have other regions to them. So let me unload. Let me go back to where we loaded the encounter deck. Yeah, so I'm going to go back here. I'm going to load, where is it? Temple of the Deceived. That would be in here. Ah, okay. Beautiful, isn't it? So if you've played a lot on the old version of DragnCards, you might be used to having a layout where it tries to cram all of the map into the same layout as all the rest of the player cards. In DragnCards 2.0, I have a separate layer for the map that can be toggled on and off. So it says here, this quest uses an extra region. Use the M key to toggle view of that region. Okay. So here's the map for the quest, and it just says M to show hide. So this allows you more space for your board state. Whenever you want to see the current state of the map, you just hit M, and it's very quick. You can pop it in and out. You can have your tokens signifying where you are at any given moment. You don't need to do this, but this region is actually a free movement region. You can drag the cards anywhere you want. And yeah, that's that. There are other scenarios which use some of the other extra regions. Let's see if I can pull that one up real quick. Let's undo. Okay. I think it would be in here. We got Siege of Erebor. Okay, it's not working right now, but there is another set of regions where you hit comma, and there's a bunch more here. So these are other regions where you can place cards, and comma toggles them back off again. Okay, pretty much covered every menu and hotkey. So, oh yeah, one more new feature of DragnCards 2.0. You can add 5 tokens at a time if you want to. You just hold control while you're pressing it, and that saves precious milliseconds from your day. So make sure you remember that. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there because I think I've covered all the advanced features you might need to know in pretty much every quest that you will play on this platform. So if you thought this was valuable, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.